What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing the two semi-final games for the AFL Final Series of 2020. It's Richmond versus St Kilda at Metricon, and at the Gabba it's Geelong versus Collingwood in what is a very scary week for both Richmond and Geelong. The threat of facing a straight set exit looms as Collingwood and St Kilda come off big wins in their elimination finals. It's going to be a massive 2 nights of football, all to play for a chance at the prelim final against Brisbane and Port Adelaide. These 4 teams will fight it out for a grand final spot, but first you've got to make it to a prelim. So let's have a look at the 2 games and see exactly how I think they'll pan out. Right, first up we'll look at Richmond versus St Kilda. Now this is a big game, and one of the games that I feel like has a upset written all over it, because Richmond are coming off a hard-fought, unfortunate loss for them against the Lions in a pretty fiery clash at the Gabba, and St Kilda are coming off of a, well, it was also at the Gabba, and it was a pretty fiery clash with the Dogs. They did have the better of them throughout the day, but the Dogs fought hard late and came at them, so St Kilda will be a bit wary, and especially with the unfortunate loss of Paddy Ryder with a hamstring injury, it will dent their chances a little bit, having that duo of rucks with Marshall and Ryder going at it together. It's going to be a completely different story now, with probably Marshall going at it solo, and they usually bounce back pretty well, and they're usually one of the sides that you'd probably almost bank on winning this one, purely on the basis of they own the final series. They are the heavyweight champions of last year. They just know how to play finals football, and the likes of Dusty in there, and they're able to manipulate the contest. And I think they got unfortunate last week, missing their chances early on, and well, Brisbane, they took the momentum with the home crowd and were able to run away with it a little bit towards the end. And I think St Kilda playing finals for the first time, that nothing phases them though. The St Kilda, that's something you probably got to respect a little bit more, is they're able to make it their own. They've had certain games this year where they've been able to topple on top of their opponents and take away their momentum and basically turn it into their own. And that's how they've won multiple games against the better sides this year, is just being able to turn that momentum in certain stages of the game and win the contest. And it was pretty even last week, and they were able to do that against the Dogs, and yeah, they held on. And with players like Jack Steele in the middle there, and they've got a functioning forward line with Dan Butler, who's just an underrated small forward at the moment. He'll be coming up against his old side this week, and this just has, for me, as a Port fan, you look to 2004, and it has that vibe about it. This final series, Port beat Geelong in the first final, Brisbane win their first quali final, and they're both playing in prelims, and most likely when I'll get to Geelong Collingwood in a sec, Geelong beat Collingwood. They played Brisbane in prelim just like 2004, and St Kilda get over the top of Tigers. They're playing in a prelim like 2004. I'm reading into that too much. It does have a bit of an upset feel about it. I feel like the energy that St Kilda can bring can match it with Richmond, and yeah, Richmond will have a probably better structure across the ground, and they're able to function a lot better with the certain paces of the game that will change over the course of the night. And Metricon can be quite dewy, and Richmond do play a dewy style game better than they probably do in the dry sometimes, and they're a lot tougher when it comes to going at that contested ball. So St Kilda do have to be on their game in that area, and they'll have to match Richmond's midfield. But on the outside, they've got some serious pace. They've got Hill. Their halfback flankers work tirelessly. And they're going to make a couple of changes this week, with Long getting suspended, and obviously, as I said before, Paddy Ryder coming out. Richmond, they're going to be wanting to change how they probably approach, with Tom Lynch coming back into the side most likely, and Jack Riewoldt. So they're going to have that dynamic duo back down in their forward half, and I think that will makes Richmond structurally more sound. They'll have that two options down there, whereas with Riewoldt, maybe sometimes it wasn't quite as standout-ish when you have 2 tools. So pretty even game, I reckon, across the board. I do feel as though my head is tipping... Well, both head and heart are tipping Richmond. But I reckon there could be an upset. So I'm not 100% confident Richmond will win, but I'm just enough to say that they will get across the line. But I wouldn't be surprised if St Kilda do it. And you know what? I'd love to see St Kilda do it. Just on the basis of I can get that 2004 vibe. Moving on to Collingwood versus Geelong. Now Collingwood coming off one of the great finals victories against West Coast over in Perth. Probably one of the toughest tasks, in modern football, and especially with the pandemic at the moment. Collingwood haven't obviously played a proper home game, so you're travelling from being up in Queensland where you're not used to a lot of crowd and not a lot of noise, and the opposition is... But you're basically there by yourself, and you come across to a hostile environment like Perth. 30-odd thousand people there. They're just booing at you constantly. And I tell you what, it was one of the most sweetest things I've seen is Collingwood win. And Mason Cox, he's just a finals performer, isn't he? We've bagged him all year. And he comes out and plays a fantastic first quarter, sets it alight, and for the rest of the game was prolific up forward. And it's little plays like that make a team go, you know what, we're not just here to make up the numbers. And I know there's been certain talk about making up the numbers this week with Kane Corns and all that. And you know what, he had every right to say that as well, because I even thought Collingwood was just making up the numbers. And I reckon 90% of people that aren't Collingwood fans were probably thinking they're going to get done by West Coast. And they come out and play with some serious heart. And the question will be, can they back it up this week against a Cats side that no doubt will want to want to repay the favour this week after getting done by my boys Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. And they faced a similar challenge last week, Geelong, with a hostile environment. Now they're both coming together at the Gabba, where it's going to be a pretty neutral territory. Collingwood probably have a better record at the Gabba this year. They've played what they call home games there. And I think it might just suit their style a lot more. They're pretty similar in terms of how they both play, and forward half pressure is going to be immense. And I think, with the likes of Cox, De Goey, Darcy Cameron, Brodie Grundy's probably going to be playing a little bit of a different role against Stanley now, because it was clearly done by Nat and Newey last week. Cameron might get a little bit more percentage time in the middle. And I just feel, Myercheck, their forward half, Collingwood, is a really, really strong outfit when on. You got Jamie Elliott, you've got De Goey, you've got Myercheck, Cox when he's on, just like last week. And what will worry me, even though they've got Darcy Moore down in defence, and who will take Tom Hawkins? Because even though he kicked 5 behinds and an out and a full last week against Port, he was on. His ground ball work's exceptional. His ruck work inside forward 50 is really good and sets up Geelong and gives them the first hand at the footy. And then he's got even though his set shots are off, he's got his goal kicking ability, and his one-on-one contested area is second to none. That's why he's a Coleman medalist, and that's why he was voted probably one of the most important players in an AFL team. So that's the key for Collingwood. If they want to get this second win and really go on this glory run that they're on at the moment, they have to shut down Hawkins. And I can't see that happening. I think Geelong's forward half may be too dominant. Ablett down there. Gary Rowan was a bit off last week. Stanley goes down there from the odd occasion. And yeah, they just got a bit more dynamic in their midfield. Dangerfield, Selwood. Selwood's going in with a hand injury, but he'll still play. I think they've got the depth. Menegola, Guthrie. It's that. They're the type of unit that shouldn't get shut down twice. But dare I say it, Geelong's finals form is shocking. 4 of 16 they have. 4 wins out of 16 games is not the greatest record. You want to be coming into a semi-final against a Collingwood outfit that's going to be with so much hope and momentum and confidence in themselves that they can beat anyone. It's a tough game to pick, and I think Geelong will win. You just never know. And I think both these games this weekend are going to be absolutely phenomenal, and it'll be interesting to see who Brisbane and Port Adelaide play next week in their prelim finals, because I tell you what, whoever they come up against out of these 4 sides, it's not going to be a walkover. Well, thanks everyone for watching this preview of the semi-final week for the AFL 2020 Finals Series. It's going to be 2 massive games on Friday and Saturday night. No doubt, I do think, as I said, Richmond and Geelong, the 2 top 4 sides, will get across St Kilda and Collingwood, but it'll be closer than people think for both games, and they're both going to be heavyweight clashes, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing both. So make sure you leave a comment below and let me know what you're thinking for both of these games. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more AFL, and if you're a Port fan, Port Adelaide content, obviously it's called ThePear, so make sure you jump on board as well. Port Adelaide's final series continues on with a prelim next week to see where we face St Kilda or Richmond. Looking forward to the finals weekend. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Anthony, and as always, count the pair.